Do you ever look at the world our kids are growing up in and wonder who's teaching them who to be when no one's watching? Maybe you've asked, what kind of character are we shaping when the classroom is loud, the values are mixed, and the applause comes easy for doing just the bare minimum? Well, today's guest isn't just asking those questions, she's answering them with a children's book that teaches things that most adults still wrestle with: integrity. Dr. Ruth Grube is a lifelong educator, curriculum expert, and now a published author whose message speaks straight to the heart of every parent, teacher, and child, wondering, who am I when no one's around? This isn't just a sweet story. It's a strategic seed, a book that helps shape who our children become long before the world tells them who to perform for. So if you care about raising kids with character and you've been praying for tools that reinforce what matters most, this episode is for you. So let's get into it. Today's guest is Dr. Ruth Grube, an accomplished educator, curriculum specialist, and advocate for values-based learning. With over 20 years of experience in public education and a doctorate in instructional leadership, Dr. Grube brings both academic insight and heartfelt conviction to everything that she creates. Her debut children's book, Who Am I When No One's Around, explores the power of integrity and the quiet choices that shape a child's character. She joins us today to share her publishing journey, the heart behind her book, and how writing in a community of authors has helped her to bring this vision to life. Welcome, Ruth.
Hi, Dr. Wiley or Carolyn. How are you?
I am doing great. And yes, Ruth knows that I am Dr. Wiley, but of course, her and I know each other as Carolyn and Ruth. We first met actually when Ruth was working on her dissertation, because that is one of my areas of expertise is academic dissertations. And in that conversation, she mentioned that she had had this book on her heart. Tell us about that.
Thank you. Yes, Who Am I When No One's Around has been in my brain for a very long time and my heart. And I just knew through my 20 years in education that we needed to teach some basic skills. This is not anything that parents have done wrong or
Right.
society has done wrong. I was in education, I watched the little things. Oh, I'm going to take his treat today because I want it, that type of thing. Well, what does that mean? And so for a very long time, I've had this and others in my brain, just not knowing the pathway to create it and to make it real.
Absolutely. And so tell us a little bit more about your background, because having read your dissertation, I know that emotional intelligence was a huge part of that dissertation. And
Yes,
so that
yes.
is your expertise. How does that tie into integrity?
So emotional intelligence has many components, but the components that are really critical is to know yourself and to manage your emotions in a multitude of areas. So if you get upset about something and you're looking at the entire scene about who is this going to impact? What if I say this? Is somebody going to get hurt? Am I going to get hurt? And all of that anger, if you can let that dissipate and you can look at the situation almost void of emotion,
Mhm.
look at it for what it is, then you'll have a healthier connection with people. You'll have a healthier job as a leader. You'll be
Mhm.
able to manage people and they'll manage you, and you can just know that it's really about looking at the emotion inside and kind of being objective about it.
Absolutely. And so when did that message of who am I when no one's around first come to you?
Oof. It was a very long time ago. Even when I had my own children who are now in their 30s, I would ask them things and talk to them about, well, if I didn't see you do that, how would you feel about it?
Hmm.
And just those organic conversations that parents have with children. So in my brain, I was thinking, is that a sixth sense? Is that integrity? Is that bravery? What is that? And then as I started to realize that this book could be a reality after I received my doctorate, and when I talked with you through it, for me, it was, I don't want children to be in it because I don't want them to feel as if they're being attacked or they have to feel guilty. So we one step removed a child to animals, which, yes, we feel the same thing. And my little forest friends feels the same thing, but they also, they're real emotions that you can almost talk about separately. The mom and dad and guardian can talk to the child and say, what did you think that bear did? Or how about that snail? So it's not as defensive for this child. And in the entire time, it was about the child. I was thinking
Absolutely.
about their reactions.
Well, introduce us to the forest friends that are in this book.
So the forest friends are the little chameleon, who is quite fun and crafty and sweet chameleon. The snail, who could be a little persnickety, kind of sneaking around things, but always leaving a trail because the snail leaves his little trail behind. The bear, who's just a big, jolly, happy bear that you wish you could hug. And the raccoon, who looks a little bit like a badger, but it's a real raccoon. What a raccoon looks like in the illustrator informed me of that, and I went with it. And the raccoon is very smart, loves the whole group together. And so I thought that they would be enjoyable. I fell in love with them probably with the 55th iteration of the book.
Yeah, right.
We kept taking it back and forth, but I did. I fell in love with these animals, and I hope that people fall in love with them.
I know that they will. The bear is my personal favorite. My daughter absolutely adores the snail. So every kid
Me
is
too.
going to look at it
Yes.
and say, oh my goodness, I want this.
Yeah.
And tell us about the reading level because my daughter is 8 and she read
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So tell us about the reading level for this book.
The reading level is probably a second grade reading level, but I think and that's independent, right? So you can
Hmm.
have, you have variants. You have children who are in second grade that are reading at first grade 5 month, or, and they need guidance with the reading, and that's fine. And then you have others who can read the entire book, but it's more the second grade level for some of the meanings behind it. Because at 8 or at 7 and 8, children get that, they understand a little bit more about, I know this isn't right. No one's watching me. I want to do it anyway.
Hmm.
But what do I do? And at that point, you bring in a lot of what a child has learned from their parents, from their friends, from their coaches, from their band leaders, from all of that. And so their minds are just saying, well, it's not just egocentric at second grade.
Right.
So that's the level, but it can be read at a very high level, if you will, to preschoolers, to kids in kindergarten or first grade, and also fifth graders or sixth graders. There, that part of it, and we'll talk a little bit about that, is about, there is some natural progressions of a caterpillar, a chrysalis, and a butterfly, which innately shows how the characters themselves have grown throughout the book. And so that, to me, is a real discussion to have with people who, fifth graders, 10 years old, they're being faced with a
Absolutely.
lot of things. So it's like a variant of grade levels, Carolyn. I don't know if I answered your question, but at
Absolutely.
the ability, it's second grade.
Yeah. So a late first grader,
Could be.
early second grader, especially if they're a good reader,
That's
they
right.
will easily read this book, especially if you tell them what the word integrity is. That may be the
Correct.
only vocabulary
Yep.
word in there
Yep.
that will catch them up. I know that was the only word I had to tell my daughter what
Yes.
it was.
And that pre-teaching is awesome. That's why in the first couple pages it says, join these characters, join Cam and Raccoon and Snail and Bear on their trip to learn integrity. And so that is kind of a sign to the parents to say,
Hmm.
hey, integrity is just doing the right thing when no one's around.
That's so great. So, what then does integrity mean to you personally?
It's a lot of things. It's keeping your word.
Hmm.
It's understanding that my action causes a reaction. So if I don't do something right, and then I don't tell my parents I didn't do
Mhm.
it, then I have to make up something. Then I have to remember my story.
Mhm.
Then I have to, but if I'm honest with myself and others and I say, for an example, if I've given my children, all three of them, when they got their license, I said to them, the speed limit.
Mhm.
If you get pulled over, there's a consequence to that action. So that integrity piece is, I know I'm going over 55 miles an hour. And if I do, I'm going to get caught. I'm going to have to pay a ticket. I'm going to have to add something to my car over and over and over. So that's where I think integrity lies. It lies with telling somebody you're going to do something and doing it, or you're faced with something that deep down you want to do it so badly, but you just, something pulls you back. And I do believe that that could be spirit led, that
Mhm.
could be taught, that could be innate. It could be so many things.
Absolutely. And so, because this is a value that we want to all embody, not just
Yeah,
children, but of course, we want
right,
to teach our children this
right.
value. What made you decide to write this as a children's book instead of writing for an adult audience?
I think that parents and guardians and adults have a very difficult time. The world isn't the same as it was when I was a child.
Right.
And I think that for me, this was just an assistance to a parent,
Mm,
something that they probably have already taught or are continuing teaching, because it goes continuous, right? We teach them their whole lives. And I think that I really wanted a child to read it in a safe environment or hear it in a safe environment through animals. But then a parent can learn, maybe it will help them in some skills in explaining it. Or maybe
so,
they can say, I had an experience like that when I was your age, and this happened. So for me, it's always about kids. I think that children aren't given the credit that they have. They're very intelligent little creatures. They observe everything. And I
yes.
think giving them something to stand on, with parents being able to be helped with the conversation, was a good combination.
Absolutely. So let's talk some about the writing process and have you take us a little
Mm,
bit behind the scenes of the writing process. I want
yeah.
to know the good and the bad. What did you love and felt easy? And what did you wrestle with and want to pull your hair out?
So the identification of the characters, my words are my words, and I really wanted their sing-songy. So in the back of my mind, I wanted to have a book. I can't even think of it. Goodnight Moon or The Hungry Caterpillar. That synchronous
Mm-hmm.
rhyming kind of thing. And so when I was writing it, I wanted to make sure the words hit. They weren't too big, they weren't too small, they were kind of funny. You can laugh at that.
Right.
I do have a huge sense of humor. And so that had to be instilled in there somehow. And so that piece of writing and going back and forth with you in the background and exactly how to position it and what to do
Mm-hmm.
with it was such a godsend to me, because for me, I'm cerebral, I am creative, but words are words.
Mm-hmm.
And then to have the words jump out. I wanted
Yes.
those characters to, we're going to be in the sea, we're going to be in the Antarctica, we're going to be in the
Mm-hmm.
forest. And so peeling that back with you, Carolyn, and you were like, Ruthie, are we going to just focusing on one character, right?
Right.
You're focusing on multiples, you're focusing on this. What do you think about this? We have to remove this character. All of those things were part of the process. I wasn't frustrated at all, but it was like, wow, I really didn't think about that. I didn't really understand how I wanted that to appear to children.
Right.
So, and then working with the illustrator, having it be my first time printing, having it be his first time
Yep.
illustrating, there was some communication pieces that I thought that he got it. He didn't think I described it as
Mm.
well. And we got through that, right?
Yes.
With your guidance, thankfully. But we really did. We started to get into the rhythm. He was great when I don't like how this character looks. So can we put eyebrows on it, or could we put a
Mm-hmm.
smile in it? And remember, this is for kids. And can we brighten the colors and that back and forth? We both had a different lens, and blurring those lenses together to get a clear view was awesome. So the frustration came in managed people my whole life. How do I help this? And he was thinking, you got to be more clear to me. I need legitimately verbatim what you want. Me
Exactly.
thinking that he assumed he knew, but he didn't.
Exactly. Communication, excuse me, communication becomes such a key piece that you don't
Yeah.
think about, especially in children's literature, if you are not your own illustrator. And many children's authors are not. So you're
Right.
working with an illustrator, you're
Yep.
trying to make sure that your vision as the author is what's on the page,
Yeah.
but they're the ones creating the images. And so
Yes.
that going back and forth can really be challenging. But you did mention a couple of times about working with me as a book
Yes.
coach. So you
Yes.
hired me very early on in the process.
Yes,
So
I
tell
did.
me, what made you decide to say yes to book coaching?
So it was funny. In my brain, I've always knew I would be a published author. I always knew that the messages, when I'm thinking of book 2 or I'm thinking of book 3, the
Hmm.
messages are important. I really believe that. I didn't have a pathway. I didn't know where to go. And so when God winked at us and I found you through my dissertation process,
Right,
I loved working with you. You were very upfront. You were very honest with your feedback. And it was something that I took and I did what I did with it. So when you mentioned early on that we had that your experience in this, to me at that point, a published book was like 95 years away. And so just a thought. But
hmm,
then I thought about it after probably a couple months after I settled down. I had recently retired. I completed my doctorate. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get information. And
hmm,
always the right thing to do, right?
right,
Gather some information. So I did. I emailed you. We had a conference call. And the way that you described self publishing, traditional publishing, hybrid publishing, all of that made sense to me. And the reason I decided to go with you, A, the established relationship that we had
right.
and that you helped me tremendously through. And B, I just really felt as if you were the right person to help me bring this to fruition.
That
And
is
so,
awesome.
and that from the
Thank
bottom of
you.
my heart. And you didn't disappoint. It
Thank you.
was, we gathered with other authors. They will absolutely be publishing soon, and I cannot wait to purchase their books and I cannot wait to read them and all of their questions. And we all
Yes,
were writing different things.
that's right.
All of us are coming at it in a different way, but we heard you the way only we can listen. I
Hmm.
can't listen like other members of the team because
Right.
it doesn't pertain to me. So I internalized what was for me and I just followed the guide.
That is awesome. And you mentioned the group coaching because that
Yes.
is part of the program that I have, which I
Yes.
call Christian Writers Arise Academy. It's a group coaching program. So even though you
Yes.
do get one-on-one, which the main part is those weekly group coaching calls,
Yes.
and I've heard a lot of writers really shy away from that. I don't really want to be in a group. Did you see the group as a benefit?
Yes. I
Explain
saw
why.
the I saw the group as a benefit because we were all strangers on a call that had one thing in common. Well, two things actually. We wanted to be published and we trusted you,
Mm,
right? So we instantly, that hesitation of, I'm not going to talk in front of these people or
hmm,
I'm not, dissipated because I knew that you had established all of your norms
mm,
and you did that initially and we all listened and we all bought in. And then as the calls progressed, I learned so much about memoirs or other things. I learned so much about ghostwriting. I've learned so much about taking an experience in our lives. And that's the pivotal moment that God spoke to this person and said, no, we're going to do this. And
mm.
so that's the pathway. And every one of us struggled in our own way, every one of us. But you can struggle through it and I knew I had support around me. So I thoroughly enjoyed listening to the progress of my author mates
Hmm.
and really enjoyed that intimate group that was strictly confidential, that
Yeah.
didn't go anywhere, that because you,
Yes.
Carolyn, you built
Thank you.
that. And so did that answer you?
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
it was important to me that authors didn't feel isolated. And so
Correct.
I felt like if I created a program that was one-on-one
Yep.
and I was offering one-on-one coaching, which sometimes clients have asked me for, and I tell them, you get one-on-one calls, but I guarantee you the
Hmm.
biggest support you will get is actually in that group setting.
Right. There's something I wrote down in our last call. It was from somebody else. And I thought, oh my God, that's awesome. And I wrote it down and I can't find it because I don't have that
Mm,
particular piece of paper in front of me. And I thought, God, I wouldn't even have heard that if I
mm,
wasn't on this group call. Wouldn't have been something that I would have even considered or given thought to. So that I
absolutely.
enjoyed the group. Sometimes I didn't go because
Hmm.
I'm like, you know what? No, I got to focus on this. Or of course, I have two grandchildren, so they were kind of a priority at times, but I just knew it was there and I really appreciated it.
And the process for you from when you sign the contract
Yeah.
to now the book actually is launching. This podcast is going to come out on the launch day
Ooh,
of the book, July 22nd, 2025. It was 9 months. Hence
yeah,
why I call myself a book doula because it is giving birth to a
right.
book. Would you say that analogy is accurate?
Oh my God, absolutely. I mean, you would have told me, and you did tell me that we're going to do this within a year, or we're going to do it in, laughed then. And
You did.
I'm not going to laugh now because now I'm like, eating my words, but I was like, okay. But I have like a difficulty I had is because others are writing books,
Mm.
like pictures, all words, my worst nightmare. And so
Not that she hasn't done it because she has written her dissertation,
I definitely
but
have done that, but you got to like and say, oh, all right. But for me, it was with other people and
Mhm.
us being on the same page and
That's
us
right.
wanting to finish this within a certain amount of time and things like that. So, yeah, the whole thing was just for me. I'm so grateful for this process.
That is awesome. And let's talk about struggles because we want to be open and honest and
Oh,
transparent.
totally.
And one of the struggles that you and I had in getting the book published, we have really, I think, done a great job of taking weaknesses, if you would say it is that
Yes.
way, and turning it into strengths. One
Correct.
of them was the sizes. We didn't get the
Yes.
sizes we wanted.
No.
And so one of the decisions you made was, you know what? This size is not the size I would have necessarily picked if I could pick any size in the world.
Yeah.
But with self-publishing, your sizes of your book are limited to what they can do in that on-demand world.
Yeah.
You picked a size that's perfect for kids.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, unique in the world in that when my daughter picks up this book, it fits her hands, not
Yeah.
necessarily my hands, right?
Right.
And then we have the ebook, which is what she wanted because she wanted to look at it on her iPad.
Yeah.
So you can get both for the price of a traditional book, actually.
Correct. Yeah.
Then we said, well, you know what? Since this is meant for kids' hands, but it might be difficult in a classroom, let's make a classroom edition. And so that's
Mhm.
what you and I are working on right now.
That's
And we'll be
right.
releasing probably before the end of the month
Yes.
is a classroom edition so that when class starts in August, there will be a larger size and it'll be a little bit different so that if
Yeah.
they get the classroom version versus if you get the individual child size
Yeah.
version, there'll even be a little bit of difference between those two. So, talk
Right.
us through that process and how we tried to take things that were frustrating us and
Yes.
turn them into things that are actually going to make this book better for parents and teachers.
Right. I think so. I was in my mind, of course, I never took out a measuring tape because I'm not the math doula, but I was thinking in my brain the size of Goodnight Moon, the longer and the
Mm-hmm.
shorter up top. And then, book came, and it's not teeny
No,
like
it's not
some of
teeny.
the Teen Rabbits or some of the, Carl, I think of,
Mm-hmm.
because his is a little longer and his,
Mm-hmm.
little hungry caterpillar.
Right?
You just have to open the thing. And so it's this size. It's a 6 by 8.
Mm-hmm.
This is my proof. So you see the
Yeah.
proof on. And daughter said to me, "Oh my God, Mom, this is perfect for the bed night. We're going to switch this in. Non-traditional sizes are what I go for,"
There
which
you
I
go.
didn't know. And then, and her kids love it. right? We got the cardstock for the
Mhm. Yep,
pages, so it was more durable. But when I first saw it, my first call was to you, Carolyn,
that's
and I'm
right.
like, oh my God, like I can't make any changes to this, and it's coming out, and what do we do? They sent me, the publishing company happened to send me the book, the proof, late.
Mhm.
So they sent it on the day that it was due, which we couldn't make any changes. And both Carolyn and I were like, wow, what can we do? And then I said something like, as a teacher, so I hold the book like this, and I was picturing this. And she goes,
Mhm.
well, maybe there are other sizes, and let's look at, sizes. So I was looking at 9x9s. Carolyn was looking at 8.5s. We were going to go square instead of long. And I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I'm boring anybody who's
No.
listening to this, but anyway, so we found, and not just for educators, although it's perfect for educators, but really as an
Right.
heirloom book for parents, especially if kids love it, if they talk about
Absolutely.
it, if they, working on that right now, and it will be ready right before school starts. And
That's
so
right.
even a month before, like, so I think that that will be amazing. And when we just, lemonade,
That's right.
out of lemons. That's exactly
Absolutely.
what we did. It was very frustrating. I was thinking, oh my God, first book failure, those things. But no, we're not
No,
going to
it's
fail.
not.
And we're going to just really produce a good product.
And I think that's part of the benefit of having a book coach because
Yes.
as an author, you're going to run into that. You're not going to be able to avoid those situations
Yep.
where the formatting on the inside doesn't look the way you want it to, or the cover doesn't show up the way you want it to, or it's not the right size, or there's going to be something. I heard one author from Canada, she put out stuff and then realized that the way she put it out, it wouldn't sell in the US. I mean, there's always things
Yes.
that are going to happen.
Yep.
And what you do is you have somebody in your corner that you can
Yes.
call and say, okay, brainstorm. Let's jump on a call. Let's brainstorm. Let's figure this out because you can always figure it out. Let me just point out your book hit #1 new release in your category. Tell me, how did that feel? What did that milestone mean to
I
you?
didn't know. I got texts. My phone started blowing up. I got a text from you. I got a text from my children, all three of them. They've been following it. I'm shocked. I'm so happy. I'm just happy that it's going to reach children's hands, and that
Yes,
it's going to be a discussion, and that hopefully it will help people.
absolutely. It
I'm
totally will.
in shock.
I remember one of your texts back to me was like, "Is this real life?" I'm like,
Right.
"Yes, this
I
is
did say that.
real life."
Is this real life? Yeah, I
That
know. I was, and I still am, and I'm so grateful.
That is awesome. And so, y'all, please help this book not just reach #1 new release, but #1 bestseller because this book can change lives. It is such a timely message. And so that's what I want to move towards here at the end of the podcast.
Sure.
What do you hope a parent, a teacher, a little one will take away from this
Mhm.
book long after they close the cover? You mentioned that heirloom book, like I still 50 years later have
Yeah.
that Velveteen Rabbit book
Yep. I have
that
the
my
chills.
mom
Yeah.
used to
Oh,
read to
yeah.
me. We want this to be that sort of book. So what do you hope
Yeah.
they'll take away from it?
I hope in the beginning it's a conversation starter.
Mm,
I hope that it's common language so that, remember what the bear did. You think about the chameleon, like that. And I hope that that common language will bring them up, they get older.
right.
I loved that chameleon. I wonder if, happened, but I really want the takeaway for educators to be, whole thematic unit could be done with character analysis, with some of the words that are being written, with some of the scenarios. Children can make up more scenarios
Right.
of what's right and maybe what is a little bit off center that they really want to do. We can talk parents with strategies on how
Mm,
to, gracefully.
right.
If somebody is making you want to do something that you don't want to do. Like, you can say this, or you could probably do that in a family unit or family, like the whole, I just want the takeaway to be there's a resource here for parents. There's ideas for the classroom, social emotional learning,
Yes.
emotional intelligence as far as waiting,
Mhm.
immediate gratification, just waiting, stepping back and understanding, I don't eat this marshmallow right now. I might get two later,
Right.
type of thing. And just for children to understand that they're really being heard, and some of the questions they have in their head that they may not know how to ask yet are here for them if they want to ask them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ruth, for being here today with us and
Thank
sharing your
you.
heart with such wisdom, gentleness, and grace. You have reminded us that character begins in those quiet, small moments
Mhm.
when nothing is being around us, where no one is watching us.
Yeah.
And integrity isn't just taught, it's modeled. And
Yeah.
so it's what your children hear and see you doing that they're going to learn long before they're in that moment by themselves and they have a choice that they have to
Yes.
make.
And the pictures are absolutely amazing.
They
You'll
are
feel like you're in
beautiful.
the forest.
They are absolutely beautiful. So, as we wrap up, tell our listeners where they can connect with you and where they can find your book. So, if they are a parent or a teacher,
Yep.
can get this book.
So currently it's going to release tonight at 12:01 or tomorrow morning. You can order the paperback, and you can also get an ebook for $2.99 along with the paperback. The ebook you can take with you. You can take in the
Yes.
car, you can take on a long trip, you can do whatever. And those conversations, I found the best times for my own children to have conversations with them were in the car and in the bath. That's when they were just completely honest. Like, I found out about friends and things like that. I think that it's on Amazon currently. It is on KDP. Well, we went through
Yep.
KDP Publishing. You can reach me at Ruth Grube / children's author on Facebook. And the website is Carolyn's website, roseandpearl.net.
Yep. And click on
With,
books.
yep. And or who am I, or click on the book, and there's a whole, an entire and all of the goodies there.
And
So
everything will be linked in the show notes. So y'all can click
yes,
directly on the links to these things.
so all you have to do is click.
Awesome.
And I thank you just for listening to this. But Carolyn, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, so much. And I hope that this episode reminded you that legacy doesn't begin on a platform. It begins in those small, unseen choices like the
Yeah.
ones that Ruth made. And we model those for our kids. So maybe you're sitting on a message in a book that's been tugging at your heart for
Yes.
decades, like
Yeah.
Ruth was, or maybe just for the last 6 months. And you think, well, it's not flashy, it's some big thing.
Right.
But if you feel that tug and that pull, that's God telling you it's time to
Yeah.
step out and it's time to stop talking yourself out of it and get busy writing
Yeah.
it. And
And
inside the Christian Writers Arise, we walk with people just like you,
yes.
leaders, visionaries, moms, mentors who know there's a message they've been called to write, but they just don't know where to get started.
Yeah. Agree.
If the idea of writing feels overwhelming, I invite you to take that first obedient step. You can put write in the comments to this YouTube video, or you can DM me on Instagram at Rose and Pearl Publishing, and I'll send you the details and we can chat about if this program is truly right for you. If this conversation blessed you, would you please share it with someone who is raising or teaching kids right now so that they know how to get this book that can inspire them to live in integrity? Ruth, we need more books like this, and I know that you've got more coming, and I cannot wait. And
Thank you.
for authors, we need more voices like Ruth that tell us that values still matter. So until next time, keep writing